was a big pet store client, customer, good paying one, for a long time. Petco, Banfield, all kinds of mom and pop stores. I knew all the prices, all the sale prices. I shopped everywhere. This included cages, hideaways, salt licks, water bottles, and piggies from time to time. Say hi, Rocky. Hi, Rocky. Hey, Ray. That's my Rocky. You probably wondering how I still have my cats, or pets, I should say. I wish I had my cats. I was a good pet store client for a long time. All my cats had collars. That's Miranda and Raoul in the background. They had collars. We had Breeze had one, Tyler had one, even Dakota, the stray I took him from Revere had one. Madeline says Rocky. Oh, you can't see his, but he has one. Chief. This is Madeline's brother I took in that year. The last video I was talking about. But I'm going to try to balance this in this way. I can't work my camera yet. So hopefully I'm in the photo. I don't know. I'll check it out later. I think I look there. Always scratch my nose too much. I don't hold the camera right, I'm sure. And I probably look like crap. I was going to discuss Sky. And yeah, I bought a lot of stuff, quite a few things. And I scratch my head too much. So my forehead's always itching from after the accident. It still itches. But, yeah, I bought a lot of stuff at a lot of pet stores for a long time. Very, very regular customer. I knew all the sale prices. I knew where to get the bargains, where to get them, go to the good grain stores. I don't know, I'm probably cutting my head off in the picture too. I feel like I am. Probably am. That might be better, I'm not sure. So, maybe I should start with Madeline and Chief after the fair, or during the fair. Basically, I got a last-minute call to take them in, and I really wasn't expecting them to get back to me, but they did, and just move this a little. I wasn't expecting them to get back to me, and they did, and as it would have it, they had 2 kittens available. I took them in, went to the fair. I never do that. I never introduce kittens, but I left them lots of food and water. It was a last-minute thing that, I didn't think they were going to get back to me, and I had already made plans for the evening, so I had just enough time to go pick them up, get back to this event at the fair. It was only a concert. It was only like an hour or something, and I said, well, they'll get the other cats. I'll put them in a crate. They'll be by themselves. But it was an hour there, an hour back, and an hour at the concert. And maybe, talk to the people at the fairgrounds for a couple of hours, hang out, volunteer, whatever. And I didn't know how much pressure there would be. It was my first fair. So, I decided to, I had enough time to go up there. We got them home. And I put them in a crate. And that was another thing. I bought crates as well. Caring for different animals with different health conditions. It was just helpful to have them available if I needed one quarantined, if one wasn't ready for a booster shot, if one needed ear mite treatment away from the rest for a week. I had that ability to do that in the house. So I invested in a couple of crates over the years and, all kinds of pet products. Took them home. They were in the crate with their food. And I was kind of worried the whole time. I went to the concert. It was the Fools at the Topsfield Fair. And they were really good. A lot of my friends had already seen them in the 80s. And I had never had the chance to see them. And it was actually pretty cool because I got, free admission to the fair. And I think they were one of the acts that, it plays. And, it's not a paid concert. So it was pretty accessible. But it got rained out, and they had to go into the quilting building. And I remember they were in the quilting building, and all the quilts blowing. It was really, really stormy out there. It was a really cool show. And but I was still kind of worried about them at home. I wanted to get back to them. And so I got home. And I find, all my adult cats sitting around, it was like away in a manger or something, with all the animals around Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. And there's the two kittens in the crate with all the adult cats kind of gathered around, keeping them warm. And, it was just an adventure for the next, I don't know, for the next year, I guess. And this is where it comes to Sky. Sky, when we first met Sky. I was going to get to that. So I went to the fair that year in October. And, throughout the winter, sometimes the meetings get canceled at the guinea pig group due to heavy snow. I think it might have been a light year that year. So we went to a few meetings. I did the refreshments at the meetings, over the winter. At some point in the fair, I participated in the elections, but I don't think it was that year. I think it was the last year. And what else? So I was doing the meetings and pretty much, breeding guinea pigs. Had all my cats. Chief and Madeline grew. Madeline went through teething, which was very difficult for her to chew food for a while. At some points, she couldn't open it. At some point, she couldn't close it because as the new teeth grew in, it was really uncomfortable to watch. And God love her, she was a trooper, and we just got her through it in stages. Sometimes bottle feeding, sometimes soft food. Sometimes just watching her through sheer perseverance as these teeth poked in. And she was just a trooper, just amazing. What an amazing cat to watch. I still, I feel privileged to have been there for her. Anybody should have been privileged to have been there for her, not just making some joke out of it, at work and then expecting a pat on the back for their charity effort afterwards. I've always said that, just watching her struggle and letting her achieve through that struggle was, what it was about, what it always was about. And when I came home from the pools that night, I saw 7 cats just kind of rooting for her, and that's what we did while we were going to the fair. We weren't really making any money selling guinea pigs. I just showed them, and I spent my money on I invested in some cages, some crates, some supplies, food for them. I really lavished on them because I don't have children, and they're my family. And we just got her through this. It was always teamwork and I guess discovery, her climbing onto things. And they was just very, very active. We had an active group. We had a senior, kind of 2 seniors. We had 2, obese males. We had 2 younger kittens. We had a mother's son. And we had 3 kind of average age, middle-aged females that all took to these 2 kittens, Pumbaa, Miranda and Patches, who just adored him, and Baby as well, who was a senior. She was like a grandparent figure, you know, and they just took to them. They were their children, and we just had a ball. We bred guinea pigs. I cleaned cages daily. I took care of them. Mom was still not retired at this point, and we were still in a strange transportation situation with this condo. We couldn't have 3 cars. So, I had to kind of restrict my professional activities, I guess, for a while. I didn't have a computer. I didn't have an internet. And fighting my dad's dementia with Wi-Fi could be a battle at times as well, like, with the cable. He didn't want to change the television for a while. And just crazy things living with senior parents and all these cats, to keep me kind of busy and just occupied with something else besides, home, I guess, besides my human home. And so, I found other adults with common interests, I guess, in the animals. And so throughout the winter, I promised to be there in the spring, showing my guinea pigs again. That's what I did. I went to the spring show, and lo and behold, out of the blue, when I least expect it, when I think, everything is just, it's fine. There's no need for a kitten at that point. There's no, but I see this one by themselves, Everybody else has grabbed a kitten at the free kitten bin at the Topsfield Fair, and there's one left, And I say, okay, and I see her all by herself, and it's a freezing cold April day. I mean, if you've ever been to the Topsfield Fair, it's pretty, when the winds kick up at the fairgrounds, like I said, like the same as at the Fools concert earlier in the fall. When the winds kick up, all the quilts, these really heavy, hand-sewn quilts, are like flying, and you feel like you're in that Monty Python movie when when the ship takes off and the building set sail. It was really pretty intense with the quilt building. I really love that show. But anyway, so yeah, when the winds kick up, and here's this little tiny cat, and it was raining, and it was cold, and it was April, and it wasn't really spring yet. And this was the spring show, 2014. And yeah, it was sometime in April, and it was really, really cold, really windy. I think I bought a couple of carry cages that year or something. I was going there. I showed a couple. I got some blue ribbons. I was just doing that. There's 3 shows a year, so I was doing the spring show. And it was really, really cold in there. And they keep the barn open from one end to the other. And I'm not sure if they changed the building. There was talk about it when I was last there. And so the wind used to blow through, and it got really, really cold. And I felt terrible. Here's this little tiny kitten probably just taken out of a litter, and everybody in her litter is just kind of gone. And here she is all by herself, just sitting there in the freezing cold, just miserable. And I said, okay. And I just picked her up, and I had a yellow raincoat on. And I remember holding my guinea pig with one hand, and Sky just climbed up into my raincoat, into my sleeve, wedged herself in my sleeve, and just sat there the entire afternoon staying warm. I was the best thing since sliced bread, and I thought, oh, okay, she's really affectionate, she's really friendly, And she was as a kitten, but her temperament grows into a different kind of very agile, very active, very doesn't want you to catch her kind of cat. And I was okay with that because, I guess when they were young, Madeline, Chief, and Star were just like the highest possible energy cat I could have ever imagined. They're very Siamese, they're very Savannah, and they just chased and ran and played with each other for hours and hours and hours. And yeah, I could just watch them. They're like a graceful ballet to watch, only with martial arts in it. I mean, it was an amazing thing to watch Madeline and Chief and Sky just, chase each other around. And even the bigger cats, even the Maine Coons are a little more mellow and laid back. I'd never encountered an agility breed before, and I think like 2013 and 2014 was when I really just fell in love with an agility breed my whole life. I mean, and I think kittens in general. You have to understand where I was coming from. I mean, growing up on Lincoln Lane, I had Kitsy, which was my only kitten. I was 6 years old. And I never had a kitten after that. I had Breeze, who I met as an adult in front of my house in Broadway Road in Drake in 1995. And, I had her for 16 years. I got Tyler, which was my first male cat / kitten. But I'd never had 2 kittens or 2 or more kittens growing up together, and it was just amazing to watch them grow into adults together as kind of a blended family. 2 of them were related siblings, one, and just it was amazing to watch. Well, Chief passed away suddenly a year later, and this is why I don't have collars on my cats anymore, because he had fallen. I got him a new collar. It was when he was changed collars. And I didn't see it, but I suspected. And when I took off all the collars, I never encountered that kind of injury again. I found something knocked over. I found him, unable to get up. And I think the new collar, probably he was running, caught him. So, I don't know, kind of a learning curve too with the agility breeds as well, I must say, as kind of a warning. They were a joy to watch. And in their kitten breakaway collars, they were fine. They didn't have the same breakaway design for adults at that time that I could find. And, it was really tough. Because this other collar that I did not know wasn't breakaway or something, or it was slightly bigger, and when he was going down a steep incline, it caught the edge. Something got knocked over, and he passed away. So that's a very kind of word of caution for agility breeds. We lost Chief the following year, just a short time after we got Sky. Chief was always very good with Madeline. He always played well with her. And he always knew how to play gently, like gentler with her than with the other cats. Even with himself, he would push himself, and, because he was a male, I mean, he was very boisterous. And would always, push himself, but always, kind of slow down, stop, and, it's Madeline. He always made that connection. Same way he did with Raoul, because he was older. He didn't play with Raoul. And I was kind of fascinated by this, because I came from a place where I just had Kitsy for, 76 to, 91, 15 years. Breeze for 16 years. Tyler for, probably 7 years. Yeah, 6.5, I think. Almost 7. And I never had this experience raising 2 together, and then raising, with one that's like a special needs sibling, and one that's kind of like a mate that's younger, but not grown up yet. So It was very sad because Chief died very suddenly, like a short time after Sky came. And it was accidental. And I think she internalized that because Sky's temperament kind of changed, after that. She became harder to catch. She became fearful, and, not really aggressive, not really mean. She was always Madeline's best friend. They were just fast friends. Right away, she was the same size, age, temperament, I would say, like activity level. She challenged Madeline physically in ways that Miranda or Patches or Pumbaa couldn't get up on a shelf. She couldn't get up on a high shelf or to a rapid rate of speed, chasing her and climbing under things, around beds and corners. She could play chase with Madeline and Chief longest, whereas Casey and King couldn't fit under the bed. They were too big. Miranda could only chase so long, and she would get tired. And Pumbaa couldn't be bothered sometimes. She'd rather chase a flashlight, That's what you learn about having different ones. They all have different preferences and tastes. And this was a whole new world to me. I mean, maybe when you run a warehouse, you take it for granted. But when you grow up with just one cat and no 4-H interests and go to late in life where you only have a car on the weekends or once a month for a meeting, and you kind of have to come up with new ideas for work or whatever. I don't know. It was a whole new world to me. It really was. Honest to God. And Sky was just, one of the best. And at that stage when we first met, she grew into like, a different temperament cat. And it was my first experience with the agility breeds. And, I didn't think it was, most people have a favorite, but now I think it was the first time it developed from my favorite to Maine Coon, or going from not having a favorite to then having a favorite to Maine Coon to then having more than one favorite than just the Maine Coon, to the favorite being all of them eventually. Is I think, kind of really solidified in those years.